9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Ladies and gentlemen, good morning, and thank you for being with us here. And welcome again to the 7th Casablanca Insurance Meeting. So this morning we had an amazing opening ceremony in attendance of the Minister of Finance, the President, the Wali of Bank al-Maghrib, the President of CAPS, and the President of the Moroccan Federation of Insurance and Reinsurance. So you've had over 1,000 delegates from 30 different countries attending our opening ceremony, and as well as different panels that took place this morning. I would like to say that Morocco has made a progress despite the crisis, but there's room for improvement. And the issue of financial inclusion still remains a problem at global level. So we are also concerned in Morocco, and this is a topic that is actually monitored at the highest level by His Majesty the King Mohammed VI. So how can we actually benefit from everyone's experience and international experiences? This is what we're going to be talking about with our speakers this afternoon, so on the issue of insurance resilience and resistance to a pandemic. So Mrs. Susan NEELY, we're going to listen to the President of American Council Insurers. She's going to be with us. I'm going to talk to her about how to actually offset the shortcomings of insurance coverage in the United States. Mrs. NEELY.
Thank you. Merci beaucoup.
Perspective américaine.
Ms. Susan NEELY, welcome. Welcome to you.
Merci beaucoup. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam. Wa alaikum assalam. We would have been happy to have you here in Casablanca, but maybe next time I hope everything will get better and then we'll get a chance to see you physically. So you're the President and CEO of the American Council of Life Insurers. You are described as a change maker. You have a track record of transforming industries and building consensus. Wonderful CV, and I would like to invite all our followers and delegates to go to our platform and enjoy reading all the profiles and bios of our speakers. NEELY is widely recognized as one of the most influential people in association leadership. She is a 2-time Trade Association CEO of the Year, Most Influential People, and 100 Most Powerful Women in Washington. Congratulations. The American Council of Life Insurers members companies represent 94% of industry assets and provide financial security products and services to 90 million families. Ladies and gentlemen, I will not tell you more. It's now my honor to invite Susan NEELY as our second keynote speaker for this event on how we can bridge the gaps that COVID exposed from the U.S. perspective. We are all ears. Please, you have the floor.
Again, merci. It is such a pleasure to be with all of you, even virtually. Of course, I would much prefer to join you there for my first visit to Morocco. It has long been on my bucket list of beautiful places of the world to go, and will hope that you will extend the invitation again so that I can see you all in person and tour the beautiful Hassan II Mosque and the Old Medina, or travel to Marrakesh or Tangier. But I know you have a long-standing tradition with this conference, and again, hope that I will be invited back.
I'll be happy to be your guide.
Thank you. Merci. I will hold you to that thought. I would like to also thank our host, Mohammed Hassan Ben Salah and Bashir Badu, for the invitation to participate in this event. I, of course, have the pleasure of working with Bashir on the executive committee of the Global Federation of Insurance Associations. And I know I speak for all of us at the American Council of Life Insurers when I say how we appreciate very much your leadership. Bashir has been to our office overlooking the U.S. Capitol, and of course, we look forward to the day when we can welcome him and you back. Well, there are rare moments in time where we find our entire globe focused on a common goal, but this is certainly one of those moments. Our global fight against COVID-19 reminds us that nations and people have a shared interest in creating certainty for the future. And as we look forward, there is also increased political and societal pressure on social equity and building back better. Certainly, the United States has faced its own challenges in the past year and recently as a result of those pressures. But I will say more positively that it was a very powerful day on January 20th when we witnessed the peaceful transfer of power and the inauguration of our new president and vice president. We believe it affirmed the strength of our democracy, and the American experiment can be stressed, and it proved again that what we call the American experiment in democracy can be stressed and strained, but it will endure. Today, as we look out our window here at ACLI across the street from the U.S. Capitol, I also see the lawn where citizens peacefully stand for their beliefs. I see the National Mall where so many marches have ushered people towards greater freedom. I see the Statue of Freedom at the top of the Capitol Dome, and I am reminded that the United States is resilient, we are hopeful, and we are determined. The long history of friendship between the U.S. and Morocco has been through wars and hard times. We have a centuries-old treaty between our two nations, the longest unbroken treaty in United States history. The U.S. is grateful for our friendship with Morocco and for your support in these months. And I'm grateful we can meet and share the ideas on how we can help all of our citizens live safe and secure lives. From our vantage point in the U.S. Capitol, we believe there's been an affirmation that we are moving forward as a country. President Joe Biden has started his term with focused ambition. He has a plan and he is advancing it. So I'd like to just take a few minutes today to describe the political landscape in the U.S. and then also share how our priorities and plans as an industry, as the life insurance industry here in the States, interconnect. So a little high-level political outlook. First, the political dynamics. Many call President Biden an institutionalist, and by that we mean somebody who really understands how government works. He, of course, was a member of the U.S. Senate. He has already been a member of the executive branch at the highest level, and has worked closely with our governors and local leadership mayors across the country. And for many of us who have spent our lifetime working in policy and politics, we believe his experience is exactly what our country needs right now. This kind of deep bench strength on how government can really advance objectives. President Biden has staffed the administrations. He's filling it with proven U.S. leaders, people that you may be familiar with who've had prior experience dealing with issues globally. And he's certainly rolled up his sleeves and is getting down to business. He's also committed to working with the private sector. He believes we have a relevant role in solving big societal challenges, and we agree. At a meeting of the U.S. Chamber of Commerce's Committee of 100, that's CEOs of the largest trade associations that represent all the major business sectors like life insurance and insurance, Cedric Richmond, who is a key advisor to President Biden, said very specifically, we need you. We need the private sector. We need the business community to engage around our agenda. And we are taking that very seriously as the life insurance sector. We believe we have a role not just to run our businesses, but to help the American people and the American economy recover, So we really see ourselves as partners with our newly elected and inaugurated president and the U.S. government in responding to the challenges we face in our country and around the globe. So now President Biden has secured passage of his big COVID relief package, another large package that's designed to help the economy stabilize and help address the immediate needs that people are having that are still, as we still deal with the pandemic. Now the president is focusing on resuscitating and helping the economy recover, as well as focusing on some of the societal issues that the pandemic has brought into sharp focus. You know, issues that are, we believe, are right in our sweet spot as life insurers: the caregiving gap, the racial equity gap, and the wealth gap. We know there's interest in moving infrastructure legislation as a way to stimulate the economy in the long-term ways, but to do so in a way that will be using our long-term investments as insurers to help close those gaps. These are big challenges that will require innovative thinking and partnerships. There's a demand for fresh thinking, and our work at ACLI has been dedicated really over the past 2 years to preparing for this moment, developing strong leadership positions that will give us a seat at the table with our new president and newly seated Congress to really work with them. We're a leading industry for family financial certainty and protection. We're a leading industry in support of and for investments in our community, and we support and are for building a strong economy. So we're eager to get to work with our president and Congress, and I'll share more about how we're doing in just a moment. Internationally, President Biden has said diplomacy is back. I believe this is good news to Morocco and our other allies around the globe. He said diplomacy will be at the center of foreign policy, and that he is focused on uniting our democratic values with our diplomatic leadership. So this is good news for all of us. ACLI members are headquartered across Europe, Japan, and other global markets. U.S. companies operate in Morocco and over 100 markets around the world. We are glad to be engaged internationally. As a sign that U.S. priorities have changed or are perhaps back on track, we have heard from our executive branch, including the Departments of Treasury, Commerce, Labor, and State, and the U.S. Trade Representative, that all bilateral and multilateral negotiations will now consider sustainability, labor, and equality issues as key components. This aligns well with our leadership priorities as ACLI, as a life insurance leadership and industry. Access to insurance brings security and certainty for families, communities, and countries. And the desire for security and certainty is universal. So that's where we are today. As the life insurance industry, we see all of these challenges as an opportunity to do what we do best: provide a guarantee and consistency in uncertain times. As the world tries to find its footing again after a disruptive pandemic, the insurance industry is there, as we have been for centuries. U.S. life insurers believe we can help close gaps, access gaps for individuals and for our economy. And importantly, the solution to these challenges will be forged by action, not words. That's why we have taken concrete steps since I came to this office as CEO of ACLI to establish a strong value proposition, a leadership platform to show how we can be a solution to big societal challenges. We declared our commitment to protect all Americans, regardless of where and how they work, their life stage, or the economic status of their household, or how society and work change. We are seeing great progress and continued relevance for today, particularly in 3 areas of global significance: aging society, financial inclusion, and economic investment. So first, let me address our work on the challenge of aging society. Just as our countries share the challenge of the pandemic right now, we also share the challenge of aging societies. Aging is an urgent public policy priority, especially for G20 countries like Japan, Korea, Europe, and the US, where we have the twin challenges of increasing longevity and fewer new workers to replace retirees. Almost every G20 country has a growing percentage of citizens who are living longer and who face new risks for longevity and morbidity. But these are challenges that our industry can address. In the US, we are fighting hard to get more savings and retirement products in the hands of more people, with a particular interest in women, communities of color, small business owners, and under-resourced communities. Over 2 years ago, ACLI set a clear, focused commitment to increase access to financial protection and retirement security for all Americans. In 2019, we achieved a major win with the passage of the SECURE Act, the first meaningful piece of retirement legislation in over a decade. More than 26 million people stand to gain from the SECURE Act's provisions. Our work to move this over the finish line created bipartisan momentum and laid the groundwork for additional legislation we expect to be introduced this year. We made a commitment to put more retirement solutions in the hands of more Americans, and that's exactly what we're continuing to do. But our challenge with aging society, those challenges don't exist in a vacuum, and our solutions can't either. COVID-19 has illuminated the inequities that exist across all phases of life, which compound and place enormous pressure on our retirement system. In order to truly address the challenges of an aging society, we have to get to the root of the challenges. That brings me to our second area of focus, a commitment to financial inclusion. For individuals and businesses to engage fully in economies around the globe, and I think one of your last panelists from the World Bank was stressing this strongly. For us to engage fully in economies around the globe, individuals and businesses must be able to access financial products and services that meet their needs. By targeting areas like financial education, consumer protection, and economic empowerment, we can raise the importance of life insurance products and close critical access gaps. Last year, ACLI created our Economic Empowerment and Racial Equity Initiative to create forward motion on issues like financial inclusion. Through this initiative, we set some real concrete goals to move ahead to expand access to affordable financial security in underserved markets. We're working to advance diversity and inclusion within companies and on corporate boards. We've committed to achieve economic empowerment through financial education, and we're actively looking for ways to expand investments in underserved communities. Let me make two direct linkages to why this is relevant internationally. Our new administration has issued executive orders stating future U.S. negotiations on trade and regulation should support sustainability, improve working conditions, and be inclusive of women and minorities in the U.S. and our trade partners. At the same time, the U.S. National Association of Insurance Commissioners has established a special committee on race in insurance, signaling financial inclusion as a major priority for our regulators. I commend the International Association of Insurance Supervisors and Chair Vicky Supporta for prioritizing financial inclusion of women and minorities in their strategic plan. I'm proud to be part of the B20 Special Initiative on Women and Financial Inclusion, where one of the main objectives is to foster gender equality in the workplace and in society. All around the globe within this industry, we are seeing unified efforts to address financial inclusion. ACLI's own Economic Empowerment and Racial Equity Initiative has given us construct to think intentionally about what we, as an industry, as a sector, a powerful sector, bring to the table with a particular focus on reaching underserved communities. I'm proud, we all here are very proud to be part of these solution-oriented efforts. A collective global focus on financial inclusion will allow us to advance real change when it comes to equity and opportunity. Finally, we're taking steps to defend our ability to do business. Individual politics and national markets vary greatly, but we know that COVID has put stress on government budgets, families, and businesses around the world. Our ability to do business has never been more important. Our priority is to make sure the life insurance industry can continue to offer the products and services to people who need it most, and making sure we have the regulatory and prudential environment in order to do so. Change brings us the opportunity to stress our positive role as a source of long-term stable investment, and that has been our aim in the US. For example, the sustained low interest rate environment has placed a lot of pressure on life insurance companies. Our domestic and global members are navigating the low interest rate environment. We made it a focus to educate the US Congress on how our business model is affected. And we're sharing how our industry's $6.9 trillion investment into our US economy plays an important role in meeting the infrastructure needs in states and local communities. The US Congress recognizes this value proposition and recognized it last year and passed legislation that made important updates to the tax code to reflect today's low interest rates. The critical change that the Congress passed in December of 2020 will allow our member companies to continue offering products that people need. And we can connect our long-term investments to social good. We endeavor to promote purpose-driven investment in areas like affordable housing, broadband access, and other services benefiting underserved communities. ESG investments are an opportunity to do this. I commend you and this distinguished conference for tackling issues of investment and growth during this conference. Speaking with and learning from each other helps us in representing consumers and in supporting our government's investment and growth. And it's our commitment to leadership issues like aging society and financial inclusion that give us a strong foundation to fight for our ability to do business. So let me close by saying this. This has been a tough year for families, for communities, and for countries. The US is just one perspective. Each of us, from our own vantage points, see the challenges that our countries and our people face. Each of us know the gaps that the pandemic has exposed. But I am mindful that we as leaders in insurance have an opportunity to be the bridge, to close those gaps, to find innovative solutions, to ensure greater access, to provide certainty in an uncertain world. I commend you for the discussions you are having at this conference, and I thank you very sincerely for the opportunity to speak. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for being with us. May I ask you a small question that came through our platform? The pandemic forced insurers in the US and around the world to change how they do business. What were some of the things the US life insurers did differently, and will they continue after the pandemic is over?
Well, thank you. It's such an excellent and relevant question. It's hard to believe it's been a year since we all began working remotely. The life insurance companies in the US began working remotely and, importantly, delivering services to their policyholders. And one of the key changes was the need and then the ability to utilize technology to utilize e-signatures, e-notarizations, to be able to license new producers and agents using temporary licensing that didn't involve those new agents having to go to a meeting in person with a regulator. Just some of the things that were very important to stay in business. We actually, an interesting statistic is that the life insurance industry in the US, across all of our product lines, retirement, life insurance, disability insurance, long-term care insurance, we pay policyholders $2.1 billion a day, every day. In contrast, our government-supported Social Security system pays $2.7 billion a day. So that statistic just gives, I think, a perhaps eye-popping sense of the scope and importance of what we do. So being able to operate remotely and keep all of that going was the #1 priority a year ago. I'm very proud to say that life insurers delivered that. And importantly, our regulators, working closely with the National Association of Insurance Commissioners, the NAIC, gave permission to utilize these new tools. So we call them regulatory accommodations, because our regulators understood the importance of us staying in business and being able to help people. Now, of course, because we believe it's all gone seamlessly and we've been able to operate taking advantage of technology, that these would be important accommodations to make permanent. And so that's something that we're actively talking to our regulators about, and hope that that will be the positive progress that comes from the pandemic. So out of all the chaos and difficulty, that would be something very important that would be valuable, not just to the industry and how we run our businesses, but to our consumers and policyholders as well.
Thank you very much, Ms. Susan Neely. Thank you for being with us, and thank you for your very precious contribution and your beautiful enthusiasm about what is happening. Thank you very much, and we hope we'll be welcoming you, and I hope you'll stay with us during those couple of days.